guys, welcome to my channel. Today, as you can see, I will be discussing the Maidenhair Fern. Now this guy I actually got a while ago. It was like 3 times the size, but I actually divided it into 3 separate Maidenhair Ferns, so that's why it looks it's a little in shock right now. I put the other 2/3 into 2 different terrariums. It's math. Fractions. So 2 of them are now in terrariums. But this guy I'm keeping in the outside world. I wanted to make a video about how to care for it when it's not in a terrarium, you know? Because this plant is pretty difficult. You really have to have a specific place in your house for it. This isn't just like just put it wherever type plant. It will not take care of itself. I'm going to be going over all the tips that have worked for me, and sometimes it's still not enough. So this plant it really has to have the exact perfect conditions or it's gonna die. So, you know, the good part is, even if it's really fragile leaves. Even if you have it all the right things, it might still shrivel up, but it can come back to life. So that's one benefit to this plant. It will bounce back if you provide. Rule number 1 about this plant: humidity. Humidity is everything. This plant, it will die if you don't, even if you water it right, light conditions are right. If it's too dry, if it's not humid enough around it, she will shrivel. She will shrivel up. So what you can do, what I have right here, is a tray full of pebbles. Okay, so you do that, you fill it with just like little rocks, and preferably you would do it in a bigger pan, but I only had this size on hand, so but it can be bigger, so it'll surround like the width of all the leaves. That would be wonderful if you have that. I just don't want to use like a dinner plate because that's not real pretty, you know, and I need my plates. I only have 4, so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some water in here. And once you have some water, you don't want it to reach the top of the surface of these rocks. You want it to kind of remain just under. And that alone will release a lot of water and humidity into the air up around the fern. And that'll really provide the right conditions for it. You just have to remember to fill it all the time. So I'm going to pour some water in here. Okay. And just enough so it's not seeping into the holes, because that'll just rot out the roots. So make sure that the pot isn't actually touching the water. You just want to set it on top. And I see the water pooling in there, but it's not touching the pot whatsoever. What you can also do, you should do this, but if you also want to mist it a couple times a day just to really spoil it, you can, just to keep the leaves just kind of nice and moisturized, you know. You don't have to do this necessarily because it really only provides a very minimal amount of humidity, but like, it's fun, you know, you feel like you're really tending to it. Another very important thing about this plant is indirect light. So ideally you would put it near an east or west facing window where the light is a little more diffused, not as intense. Because I have a south facing window, my whole apartment is just south facing, so I put it pretty far back so it's not like drowning in sunlight, you know, all day. And it gets pretty hot as well. It doesn't like to be cold. It likes to just, you know, just right. It likes to be just right. So not near any cold drafts, not too hot. It doesn't like to be right up on a south-facing window. So if you have a south-facing window, put it pretty far back, like 7 feet or so. So it's receiving only diffused light, okay? Like super diffused, like, whoa, really far. But east or west facing, you can put it a little bit closer, but still no direct light, because you will shrivel her up, and you don't want that. Real unattractive, let me tell you. Another very important thing is giving her haircuts. That is essential to her pushing out new growth all the time. So, but you'll see this yellow dead frond at the bottom. So that's something that you definitely want to stay on top of. You want to trim those because that'll help it promote new growth. It likes to be trimmed back constantly, so you really want to keep a close eye on it, because any dead and rotting leaves might harm the plant in the long run, and it might invite pests and stuff. So you really want to stay on top of that. And also, I hate to say this, but try not to touch the leaves, because the oil on your fingers can actually harm the leaves, and it might make them dry up a lot faster, because they have like this perfect balance of oil on their leaves. And I touch it constantly, so I can't really tell you not to. Like I'm some great goddess at not touching it. Try not to, you know, try. That's all I'm saying. Because it's just so cute. Like you just want to like touch it, like, you know, you're just like, oh my god, the leaves are so cute and soft. But do not. Try not to. So the soil for this, I just use regular potting mix, and I add some bark or something to kind of break it up a little bit, but overall this plant likes dense soil. So try to use potting soil, just a standard, you know, mix, and then mix in some rocks or bark or something to just kind of, you know, give a little air in there for the roots. This plant definitely likes denser soil, so no real cactus mix or anything like that. So watering this plant, it's a very, very sensitive plant, so I would recommend using either water that you've let sit out for 24 hours. Like, you must do that with this plant. It cannot handle harsh tap water, or you can just buy distilled water, like I have right here, distilled. I think it's like 89 cents or $1 a gallon, so it's not a killer for your bank account, but if you can just use water that you've let sit out for 24 hours, that will suffice. And you want to water it when the top of the soil is drying out a bit, but you really want to stay diligent about watering it when it's just starting to dry out, because this plant, she's just dramatic. But also you really don't want to overwater it, because then, you know, she'll turn yellow, she'll get mushy. It's a fine line. That's why this plant is really for advanced plant people, or, you know, it's not a great beginner plant, because you really have to understand like the soil. You know, if it's like soaking wet, then yeah, leave it for a while. So if you're not doing all of these things, the plant might shrivel. Alright guys, so that's it for the Maidenhair Fern. That's all the tips that I've gathered over these, you know, weeks. It's a great plant, but definitely advanced, so tread carefully when you get it. If you just brought it home and didn't realize what you're getting into, just do your best. You know, that's all you can do. And, you know, if it shrivels up, like, just know that that happens to all of us. It's a tricky plant, so you really have to memorize every step and stay on top of it and really tend to her. You know, Maidenhair Fern, you gotta love her, you know. Again, please subscribe or like. Thank you again to all my new subscribers. You guys are great. They're really rolling in. So I appreciate it. I'm so glad I'm not too weird for people. Like, that's just great. Definitely wash your hands. Coronavirus is so real. Am I right? Thank you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, I touched it. Don't touch it.